6K, it might not be a lot of money to some people, but trust me, that's a hell of a lot of money from where I'm coming from. So this one is more of a story time, guys, because this year for me, transparency is something I'm leaning into much more in regards to my business. I personally think I'm quite a transparent person anyway, but what I mean is you guys obviously don't really know the half of what really goes on behind the scenes for most people, especially those trying to run a business and do everything else and, the things they got to do, especially the parts where it's all gone absolutely Pete Tong. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amina Cheryl. I'm a natural hair care therapist and the founder of NHT London, which is a small business where I produce hair care products, services and programs to help Black women and girls to challenge their perception of hair and beauty. So last year, January, I started looking for a manufacturer in the UK who took on private label cosmetic manufacturing, one that had like low MOQs, minimum quantity orders. If you don't know what private labeling is, it basically means products produced by an outside manufacturer, but with your own unique formulas and branding. If you do know about private labeling, then you probably know already that it's just really hard to source manufacturers in the UK who will do private labeling with your bespoke formulas whose MOQ is less than 5,000 products per unit. Now, I have 5 products in my range and 3 out of the 5 were the ones that I actually wanted to get produced. But I do not have anywhere to store 5,000 of each. So I needed someone that would produce like 500 of each. So I needed that low MOQ. So after some weeks of like diligently looking, I came across this one company called Basique, which I eventually came to find out was the trading name for the CBD Group Ltd. Now, these lot were based in Lancashire and it seemed, they seemed to tick all the boxes. So I reached out using the contact us page on their website. I left my phone number and I asked for somebody to basically give me a call. And then I explained the quantity I wanted and the prices, like wanted to know the prices for each one. And then I received a call from the director, Alex McMillan. We had a brief conversation. He asked me to send him over the formulas and all the measurements. And then he said he would calculate the cost per formula. Now, this should have really been the first red flag. And I did get like a little pause in my mind, to be honest. I did question like, I don't know about this. Should I be sending over my formulas without protection? But I didn't follow through on that intuitive feeling. Instead, I just kind of like told myself, I'm just being silly and being overcautious. No, this seems like a reputable company, mashallah. You've checked out both their websites, you've checked out all the socials, you've gone onto company's house, you've done the due diligence, right? So I ignored those doubting thoughts and I sent over the formulas. And alhamdulillah, I received an email back a couple of hours later with the quote for the cost per unit and the total for 500 units of each product as requested. Now, the prices, they seemed really good, very reasonable. But I said I would get back to him because I wanted to do, a bit more exploration and check out some other companies. And then about 3 weeks later, I sent Alex an email and said I was interested in working with him. And I asked him to contact me back, which he was very swift in doing so. We went through all the formalities because I also wanted to get some CPSR tests, some cosmetic product safety reports. And that was going to be an extra cost. And it would require extra time because of all the tests that are involved. Like, for example, there's key tests that need to be done when you do a CSPR. And one of those is a stability test, which takes up to like 12 weeks to complete. So, as I said, we discussed all the formalities. He planned a meeting with me and him and his cosmetic scientist called Yasmin. And then he sent me the total invoice. Now, at this point, I should have said I'm going to pay part of it. But I was so excited and I was so eager to get on with the process. I sent the whole payment of £6,138. Now, guys, You have to understand, I really was trusting the process, you know. Reputable company, all the directors and ex-directors had pages on LinkedIn and IG, and they all had like posts and, you know, recent posts and stuff. They even had an article in the newspaper talking about one of the ex-directors, Dr. Ed, who had a range of products that he'd formulated and had supplied to Ann Summers. And he'd literally left the organisation in December. That wasn't a red flag to me. I don't know why, but yeah. It was January, February. So he'd left a couple of months ago. I thought, oh, well, you know, even though he's left, you know, I thought there was still credibility about the company. So that was in February 2024, as I said, when I paid that invoice. And after that, the day after that, I had the video call with him and Yasmin. And then, you know, we came off the phone, everything was agreed. She asked me for some MSDS sheets about a couple of ingredients. And that was it. You know, I left it for a month. I didn't hear from them. I was expecting to be informed. I didn't get any like contact from them. So I sent some emails, and 2 days and 3 emails later, I still hadn't heard anything. So it was now like the middle of April. So I decided, let me message Alex on WhatsApp, and he didn't respond. So I rang him. He answered. And he apologized, saying, oh, it's been really busy and they were having like major changes at the office, and that he was sending over some samples and they should be out to me in a week. Now, this excuse about the samples went on for 2 weeks. And then the next time I called up, there was a mix up with the samples on my address, something about gone to the wrong address, and they were preparing some new ones. And then, you know, a couple of days later, we was going to have a meeting. Now, I didn't get any samples. And he didn't get back to me with no date about a next meeting. So then on the 4th of May, and I remember it was very clearly, it was 2 days after my good friend had passed away, I sent Alex a message on the Friday and he was yet to respond. So 2 days later, on the Saturday, I'm standing in my kitchen and I'm thinking about all this sketchy behaviour. And I just said to myself, let me Google Beseek manufacturing scam. And then Trustpilot came up with all of these reviews. There were like 7 reviews, yeah, on there, and they were all bad, and they were all posted in April, and the most recent one was the day before. And as I was reading these reviews, tears started to well up in my eyes because I actually couldn't believe what I was reading. This guy who looked like butter wouldn't melt had scammed me out of 6k. A whole £6,000. I literally just dropped to my knees, yeah, and I just started bawling because I just couldn't believe it. I had asked my brother for that money to help me progress with my business, and I really wanted to really push my products. And look, this is what was happening. I was just like, you can't make this stuff up. It would be me though, innit? I literally cried my eyes out for a good 10 minutes, guys. I was so upset and disappointed in myself. But on one of the reviews, someone had left an email address. So I emailed her straight away. And then the next day, she contacted me back. And she explained to me that the same thing had happened to her. And that there was more people that this had happened to. And they'd formed a WhatsApp group to take action. So I sent her my number straight away and she added me to the WhatsApp group. And there was 7 of us in there in total when I got in there. And they all had similar stories. Some had less money taken from them. Some had more. One even had 15k. I obviously emailed and sent Alex a letter demanding a refund. I even sent one to the ex-director, one of the ex-directors, but I had no luck. I contacted the bank and tried to recall the payment, but they didn't give me my money back. They said that it wasn't fraud. And then as the months went past, more people kept joining this WhatsApp group. Someone came in the group who had lost 150k. It was crazy. We all reported, some of us reported our stuff to Action Fraud, and a few of them went to Manchester Police. And then in the end, a detective called Craig Ryder picked up the case. Now it got to September, and that was when Craig had started the investigation. But literally a couple of days ago, Craig emailed one of the members of the group saying this. So basically, this guy is going to get away with it. That's it, the end. You know, some lessons in life are really just really big, expensive lessons. And I'm going to just have to...
Chin up, chest out, charge it.
Charge it.
I don't think I'm completely sure about everything that I was meant to learn from this situation, but one thing I definitely took from it is when you think you've done due diligence, do more, and then do more again. And don't be afraid to set your stipulations on how this transaction is going to go, especially when it comes to doing big transactions like this. You have to safeguard yourself with contracts. Ask people around you that have experience. They might not be in the same industry as you, but it doesn't matter. The experience they have is priceless, regardless of what industry they're in. And basically, you just need to be astute and shrewd. But I won't be stopped, inshallah. My plan is to get a small premises by the end of this year where I can set up my hair coaching service, one-to-one hair coaching with clients, and deliver my Japanese spa hair care services. Now, back in 2015, I had set up a salon where I was doing something very, very, very similar, but it was short-lived because I went through a test, which meant I had to move home. And so that made it really, really difficult for me to be able to maintain this salon because it was just too far. The salon was in Penge in South London, and I had moved to Chatham. So it was just too far. It was too out of the way. But I put so much effort into getting this salon set up. It was a 1-bedroom flat that I was renting from a friend, and I changed the bathroom. I took out the bath and the shower and put in a hairdressing sink in there. I'd converted the whole front room into a salon area with 3 salon styling stations and 2 dryers. I was delivering one-to-one consultations and bespoke hair care services with natural ingredients, making up treatments using carrier oils and things like silk peptides and essential oils and herbs. And that was because there was nothing like that around at the time. I was a bit ahead of my time, I can't lie. And I see the direction that most Afro hairstylists are going in now. They're upgrading to being trichologists and understanding scalp science. But the thing is, I just wasn't ready. We plan, but Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. Because when I had to move home, it was after that I found Formula Botanica Cosmetic School online. And it was then I began to study the Advanced Organic Cosmetic Formulation course, which that gave me the scientific knowledge that I needed so that I could safeguard myself with what I was doing. And there was so much legislation that I actually needed to adhere to. When it comes to making products for skin and hair, it's not a joke. It's not enough to just be reading a few books and buying some ingredients here and there and throwing them in a pot. You need to understand different categories of ingredients, toxicology, melting points, boiling points, measurements, mixing phases, how to preserve, what preservatives to use, how to understand sensitization of essential oils and derma limits, how to understand the formulation process. There's so much. And most importantly, good manufacturing processes and health and safety. You have to know how to batch produce and batch record. There's so many things. So really, I wasn't ready to deliver that service, but now I am. In this new place that I have in mind, I also want to accommodate my own small manufacturing facility where I can produce my products on site and sell them during live sessions on TikTok. And I want to use it to record content. I want to be able to record my content and showcase the products and their benefits. And I'm also currently studying a trichology course with TrichoCare so that I can upgrade my knowledge and my skill set. But guys, I really need your help to achieve this, because my long-term goal is to set up more studios and salons and hire and create jobs for others and train them up to do all of this. And I want to be able to not only do this at home, but I want to do it abroad. I'd love to expand that business model into Africa in the future, but I have to start small. I have to start here. I'm only 45. I say only, but reality is I don't know how much longer I've got on this earth. But I definitely know that I want to make a difference yeah, especially in the lives of other black women and girls. So please do support me in making this dream a reality. If you feel like watching more of my videos and you want to binge a little bit, then I recommend this video here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.